going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we're back with Kingdom chapter 569. And honestly, this is kind of a controversial chapter. It's got a lot of people talking about Kingdom in a way that I haven't really seen people talk about Kingdom in the past, and most of it's coming from the thing that happened at the beginning of this chapter and started at the end of last chapter, and that is the jump from, I don't know what this is, some sort of cliff, canyon, I don't know, but Bajio jumped from one side of this to the other and survived. Not only survived, but was able to fight extremely well coming out of it. And he didn't just do this by himself, but he had Yotanwa on his back as well. So for them to not only make the jump but survive the jump and then continue to fight afterwards, it comes across to a lot of people as an arse pull and extremely unbelievable. And I do agree to some extent, because a jump like that shouldn't be possible. And although this is a manga, and although characters have shown strength feats and durability feats that aren't like normal people, even for them something like this is unheard of. So in their world, they are still ordinary people without like otherworldly powers like flying and all of that stuff. So at the end of the day, they're human, and even them themselves stated that a jump like this shouldn't be possible, let alone being able to fight on the other side of it. So yeah, I understand where people are coming from, but then I guess the way that I justify this with myself is through the other things that we have seen throughout this series. Like, for example, how I would explain them being to fight on the other end. Yotanwa, for example, has been hyped up beyond belief as someone who is an incredible fighter, one of the strongest mountain tribe fighters that any of them have ever seen, right? And then to Yotanwa, as she said in this chapter, Bajio is the strongest person that she has ever fought in the past. So both of them are really hyped up in terms of power. And then we know from earlier on in this series that Bajio is extremely strong, extremely fast, extremely durable, and extremely agile. Like, we've literally seen him jump kicking into a group of guys with shields, and that one kick has penetrated layers into their defense. And he's one guy against tons of people with really good armor. Like, it's insane the type of things that we've seen him do. So although it is still somewhat unbelievable, that's how I would justify him being able to make the jump, even if it is with Yotanwa on his back. Like, we've seen that he's extremely strong. Yet again, it is kind of unbelievable though. As for him being able to survive it, we've seen things like Kyokai falling off of a mountain after fighting with someone, and although she was left off in a really bad state, in a worse state than Bajio was, she was also way younger at the time and way out of her prime. Because although they are still somewhat in their prime at this age, the prime usually comes later when they're like fully matured adults, and I think she was still really young at that time. So if she was able to survive that fall from the mountain unprepared, doesn't really surprise me too much that Bajio was able to survive this jump whilst being prepared for it, if that makes any sense. So that's how I would justify those two things, and then them being able to fight afterwards. We all know how much morale pushes characters in Kingdom to fight until their absolute end. Like, it was also mentioned in this chapter about how Yotanwa has this amazing ability of making people want to fight for her till the very end, right? And then her herself right now is fighting to get back to those people, whereas Bajio is fighting because of an oath that he swore to himself to always protect Yotanwa. So yeah, that's how I would try to justify them being able to fight afterward. Yeah, that's just the way I'm looking at things. I'm not really defending it too much. I'm just trying to say that Kingdom has had a lot of these weird moments in the past where things really shouldn't be possible, like horses running up cliffs that are almost completely vertical, things like that. Like, it's shown us those things in the past, and although this does stretch belief a lot more for me, I'm still able to somewhat justify it. For some reason, this doesn't just completely make me think, fuck it, this is bullshit, and make me completely done with the situation. Like, I can still somewhat believe this, especially seeing as it doesn't seem like they're gonna completely get out of this for free either. Because in my eyes, there have been a lot of death flags surrounding Bajio after these last few chapters, and although I really don't want him to die because I really love his character now more so than ever, especially after all of these scenes that we've been getting recently. Like, I'm starting to like his character a lot more now, but I do have to admit there have been death flags around him. So if we do end up losing Bajio from all of this, then it wouldn't really feel like Hara's just doing whatever he wants to make them survive. It would be more so Hara just hyping up Bajio more before his death, just so that it has more of an impact on us, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that's just how I feel about that whole thing. I do agree that it's somewhat unbelievable, but at the same time, I don't really mind it. Like, it's not the horrible, I can't stand this type of unbelievable. It's the, I don't know, I can't really explain it. I hope what I've said so far explains it enough for you to somewhat understand what I say. But yeah, Towards the end of this chapter, we see what Yotanwa's plan with this whole regroup thing was, and that is for them to all basically scale the face of the walls to get to Rozo's city while he's distracted chasing Yotanwa. And I honestly didn't think of this. Like, I know it seems really obvious, but at the time I wasn't really thinking too deeply as to what her regroup was. I was thinking more so about how she was going to get herself out of that situation, because I didn't even think a counterattack was on the table. And I honestly really like it, especially seeing as the old man is the one that seems to be spearheading this plan. And there's a lot of theories going on about him being the leader of Ten's tribe, or the tribe that Ten is supposedly from, should I say. And there's also been mention of said tribe in this chapter. So I hope by him spearheading this attack, we indirectly get more information about Ten's tribe and her lineage and all of that type of stuff. So yeah, there could be some dope character development here, even if it isn't directly from Ten herself, like indirect character development, if that makes any sense. But yeah, all things considered, I really did enjoy this chapter, and I am really looking forward to seeing what happens with Yotanwa, what happens to Bajio, whether Shinsuiju meets up with them and confronts them face to face, whether Rozo gets to them, as well as possibly seeing Yotanwa finally win her side of the battlefield, even if it is at a really great cost. So yeah, as always, leave a like on the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more of that Kingdom content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.